Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the clamour from British trade groups for the government to immediately get on with the many committees that are set out in the Brexit deal now that the EU Parliament has ratified the agreement, but also how they may end up being disappointed as political interference will make their useful work all but impossible. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news in politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, within the pages of the Trade and Cooperation Agreement between the UK and the EU are provisions for quite a lot of committees to oversee the implementation of the Brexit arrangement. It covers every government department, so there needs to be a committee for each. A reminder in black and white that Boris Johnson didn't get Brexit done and that Brexit never will be done. The talking will be endless. The short-term timetable for talks between the UK and the EU, alongside various layers of implementation, runs until 2026 at least. So Brexit will still be changing at and beyond the next general election. So much for ending the transition period, leading to certainty for business. Business could not be less certain about their trading futures right now, hence the clamour to get these committees started. But the committees have not yet begun their work. See, the UK government argued that they should not begin until the EU ratified the agreement, even though the agreement was in force before then. That the UK made excuses not to begin the work of these committees, I would suggest is a bit of an indicator that they do not intend to fully engage even when that excuse is removed, which it now has been, thanks to the EU ratification this week. Now, those representing businesses around Britain have all called out as one that the government should get to work on those committees immediately. But two immediate questions. One, will either side be in a rush to set them up? Two, will each side think of them as being for the same purpose? Because the second one is quite key for me. The purpose of the committees is to deal with the practical arrangements for implementing the agreement. There's nothing special about these committees. There are similar provisions in trade agreements that the EU have with other countries around the world. They are committees who discuss technical details, that's all. But then look at what our unelected bureaucrat Brexit Minister David Frost said about them. He's reported as saying that the UK would not be making concessions to the EU in order to smooth out trade issues. Concessions? Does he think the purpose of these committees is to negotiate then? What does he think they'll be negotiating? The negotiations have concluded. David Frost himself conceded everything to the EU to get the deal that his boss, Bojo the Wonder Clown, wanted. In fact, the deal is working out even better for the EU than they could have imagined. Because right now, goods passing from Britain directly to the EU are facing full checks. There are goods that may no longer be exported to the EU now, not allowed. There are goods where the quantity that may be exported may be limited. And there are goods that are fine to be exported, no problem at all, but it will take a while longer while they are checked to make sure they don't fall into either of the first two categories. Trade barriers, don't you know? However, the reverse is not true. We are not implementing those same checks ourselves. So although EU exporters to Britain now have similar customs procedures to deal with, no one is really checking most of them are being adhered to. So we have no idea what's in the lorries making their way from our neighbours across the Brexit border into Britain each day. This has given EU companies, to say nothing of smugglers, a huge competitive advantage that has nothing to do with the EU being bigger players in the international trade circuit or even the Brexit deal. Nothing to do with either of those. It is a consequence of the fact that the Conservative government did not implement the systems needed to enforce their extreme Tory Brexit. Why on earth would the EU carry on negotiations on the sly through these committees? Northern Ireland Protocol aside, they're delighted with how things are going. And the Northern Ireland Protocol is the business of the joint committee set up in the wake of the withdrawal agreement, nothing to do with the Trade and Cooperation Committees. So was Frost just saying what he was saying as part of the never-ending Brexit belligerence that means having to make everything a competition with our European neighbours? Or does the UK government and EU Commission have different views as to what these committees will be doing? If so, even once they are set up, there's likely to be a lot of nothing at all being done if they can't even agree on what they're going to talk about. Then there's the various trade bodies. So the CBI, the Cold Storage Federation. I've already talked about the Federation for Food and Drink this week and others. They want the talking to start really quickly in order to smooth out the various trade issues that are blighting small businesses specifically. Now, what I don't know is what they expect the committees to do about this. See, from the point of view of those on the EU side of the table, they will be there to make sure the agreement is being implemented to the letter of the law. They're not there to make trading easier for British companies any more than the UK government will allow their officials to make things easier for EU companies. It would be different if there was serious trade friction in both directions, because then it would be of mutual interest to smooth out those issues. If EU businesses were suffering as badly as British ones, then perhaps there would be an urgent need for pragmatic solutions on both sides. But those solutions would still need to be in adherence to the agreement. The Trade and Cooperation Agreement is now an international treaty. Nothing that the committees agree to, even if in their mutual interest, and let's face facts, they won't agree anything until it is in their mutual interest, but nothing they agree to can possibly change one line of the agreement, nor can it change international trading rules. But then you look at the only Brexit committee that is up and running, the Joint Committee dealing with the Northern Ireland Protocol. That committee is also supposed to work on practical steps to implement the protocol. But the UK government have been trying to change the protocol instead. They've been trying to change the letter of the law. Now, why should their attitude be any different to the rest of the Brexit committees? At the end of the day, Johnson and his Tory cronies wanted the Brexit, but they didn't want the consequences. They spend half their time belly aching about how the consequences are just examples of EU spite and how our European neighbours should just back off. I would be amazed if they didn't take the same line with these trade and cooperation committees as well. In fact, the Trade and Cooperation Agreement may well go down in history as the biggest misnomer ever perpetrated, given that the result of it is the opposite of both trade and cooperation, and the least said about agreement, the better. Any trade barriers that we are experiencing because we didn't cover them in the agreement isn't going to be smoothed over by these committees. I mean, I would have thought the best we can hope for is that they improve the efficiency of systems designed to deal with the friction to reduce delays and errors. And that would certainly be helpful. Remember, I talked a few weeks ago now about how the Welsh government want the UK government to work with the Irish government to develop a system that can integrate between them to allow easy movement of goods across the British land bridge again. This seems to be vain hope, however. But if they could, that would be helpful. That would be genuinely helpful. That wouldn't change any aspect of the agreement. That would be a technical solution to a technical problem. But if you're a small business struggling to export because you can't find a lorry to take it for a viable price, I'm not really sure how quickly any new systems could really emerge to improve this, even if there was willing on both sides, but that willing doesn't seem to be on both sides. In fact, I don't know of what use these committees will be in helping reduce these trade barriers at all. They can perhaps provide warnings, maybe, to businesses about the consequences to their trade when the UK and the EU diverge. Because remember that the agreement allows for unilateral changes to trade barriers as one side diverges from the other. And Boris Johnson is intent on diverging quite a lot. So maybe the main work of the committees could well be to warn the businesses that survived Brexit so far that they are now buggered because, say, tariffs are going to be placed on their goods due to the UK throwing standards onto the Brexit bonfire. Congratulations, you survived 2021. Here follows a list of all the ambushes that your business will face in 2022. But we'll see, I suppose. I can't imagine that we'll be getting rapid fire news on this subject. Committees work slowly at the best of times, and these are not the best of times. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.